When did a training accident result in discovering a better way to do things? We were running urban warfare drills at our training facility, practicing room clearing techniques that hadn't changed since Vietnam. Stack up outside the door, first man kicks it in, team floods through in predetermined order. Private Jackson was nervous, first time leading an entry team. We'd been drilling the same sequence for weeks, but something felt off that morning during our final exercise. The scenario was simple. Hostage situation in a mock building. Jackson's team had to breach, neutralize threats, secure civilians, standard stuff we'd done 100 times. Jackson kicked the door exactly like he'd been taught. Problem was, he slipped on wet concrete as his foot connected. Instead of a controlled entry, he went flying sideways into the wall. His rifle discharged accidentally during the fall. Blank round, but loud enough to make everyone jump. The rest of his team, following protocol, rushed through the doorway immediately after him. Complete chaos. Jackson sprawled on the floor, team members tripping over him, nobody where they were supposed to be. Our instructor was already preparing the lecture about following basic procedures. But then something weird happened. The hostage takers inside started surrendering immediately, all of them, without firing a shot. Turns out Jackson's accidental rifle discharge and the sound of bodies hitting the floor made it seem like a much larger force was breaching. The chaos convinced the opposition they were outnumbered. Our instructor, Sergeant Williams, was a 20-year veteran who'd seen real combat in Iraq. He stopped the exercise and started asking questions. "Why did you surrender so fast?" he asked the opposing team. "Sounded like a whole platoon coming through that door," one replied. "All that noise, the gunshot, people yelling. We figured we were screwed." Williams had us run the drill again. This time Jackson deliberately created noise during the breach, kicked over a chair, shouted random commands, made it sound like chaos. Same result, immediate surrender. We started experimenting. What if instead of silent, precise entries, we made noise deliberately? Create confusion, make the enemy think they're facing overwhelming force? Traditional doctrine said stealth was everything, but Jackson's accident showed us that sometimes confusion works better than precision. Williams took our findings to his superiors. They were skeptical until we demonstrated the technique during a major training exercise. Our battalion cleared buildings twice as fast with half the casualties. The key was controlled chaos. Not random noise, but deliberate confusion tactics. Multiple entry points, coordinated distractions, psychological pressure through sound. 6 months later, units in Afghanistan started reporting similar techniques working against Taliban fighters. Loud, aggressive entries often resulted in surrender without shots fired. Jackson became the unofficial expert on what we started calling aggressive entry protocols. Got promoted ahead of his peers, became an instructor himself. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The guy who screwed up the standard procedure ended up rewriting it. But the real breakthrough came later. We realized this principle applied beyond door kicking. Any situation where you wanted to project strength could benefit from controlled chaos. Checkpoint operations, convoy security, base defense. Sometimes looking disorganized while actually being coordinated gave you a tactical advantage. Traditional military thinking emphasized precision, uniformity, predictability. Jackson's accident taught us that appearing unpredictable could be more effective than looking perfect. The Army eventually incorporated these concepts into official training manuals, not as replacement for standard techniques, but as additional tools for specific situations. Jackson retired as a sergeant first class, spent his final years teaching urban warfare at the training center where his accident happened. That wet concrete spot where he slipped became legendary. New recruits would ask about the scuff mark on the wall where Jackson had crashed. Instructors would tell the story of how one clumsy private changed military doctrine by falling down. Jackson's accident proved that in combat, there's no such thing as doing things wrong if it gets the job done, just different ways of being right.